Third year here at John W. Runyon, and I'm very excited to be able to talk to you this morning. My job here as the counselor, I talk to the kids about problems. I go to the classrooms from classroom to classroom, and we have different topics like bullies and self-esteem, and they have activities that they do. Also, I meet with parents when their children are having issues. Part of my job is to talk to parents. That's what I was doing right before I came here. A parent was having a problem with her child, and so, that's part of my job as well. So if you have any questions or any problems, or if your family needs counseling, then come to me and I'll be more than happy to make a referral for you. So anyway, I've been asked to come to speak with you about promoting reading at home. Elizabeth Gonzalez asked me to come, and so I want to really thank Elizabeth and Concilio for allowing me to come and share some little thoughts with you. These are just some little tidbits of information. Some are my own, some are other people's, and I gave them the credit at the bottom of the page. But I just wanted to take just a few minutes of your time to talk to you about promoting reading at home and how important it is for a child to know how to read. First of all, in promoting reading at home, it's important to read yourself. That's just important for a child to see you reading. And your children tend to emulate what you do. Now, I remember when we were young, my mother wasn't a book reader necessarily, but she read articles and magazines. We had the Reader's Digest. Have you ever heard of the Reader's Digest? So my mother read the Reader's Digest. Well, guess what I do to this day? I read magazine articles. I'm not as much of a fiction book reader. I read nonfiction. But so you tend to do what your parents do. Okay, my father read the newspaper. Both my parents read the newspaper. But you tend to do what your parents did. But we are a family of readers. So I want to encourage you to do that. And when they see you doing it, they'll want to follow your example. Another thing that's so important is for your child to read every single day. Studies show that if you just spend 30 minutes, if your child spends 30 minutes reading, that studies show that they will do better in reading at school. And reading is the cornerstone for all the other subjects. Social studies, you have to know how to read in math because you have to read the math problems. You have to know how to read in reading and language arts. And so reading really is the cornerstone of education. So if they're struggling in reading, 9 times out of 10, they're going to be struggling in other subjects as well. How about going to the library? That's so important to take your child to an environment of reading. And as a matter of fact, I do have some information to share with you about the Pleasant Grove Library, and they're going to have some wonderful activities. They have activities all the time. This is our library, our neighborhood library, the Pleasant Grove Library. It's a beautiful new library, but I want to encourage you to take advantage of those activities. Make sure, even when you're there, check out a book for yourself, or even check out DVDs. You can rent free DVDs from the library. So they have wonderful activities that taxpayer dollars pay for, so it's all free information. Read aloud to your kids. They need to hear you reading to them. Also, here's some tips with reading aloud. Start reading when your kids are babies, when they're young. Don't wait till they're 5 or 10 or in school. Start when they're little, when they're lap babies, and read to them. And one suggestion that I would make is choose a book that has some type of texture like fur or a mirror in the book, and the baby's going to want to touch. And that's going to help that hand-eye coordination for your baby. And also you're helping teach vocabulary when you point, say bird. And so you don't have to wait till the child is 5 years old and start to school. You can start right away. Don't stop reading to your children as they grow older. Even when they're 10, 11, continue to read to your children. And set aside some time each day for reading, reading aloud, like 10 minutes a day. I know families are very busy and children are in activities and things, but y'all think about it. Think about the possibility of maybe reading at the dinner table. When y'all sit down, maybe allow each child to read something, their favorite book or their favorite part of an activity that they did for the day. So give them an opportunity to read for about 10 minutes aloud. Read books you enjoy. That just makes sense. Read books that you enjoy. Also, give books as gifts. So when you go to the bookstore, or when y'all going to a birthday party, all the kids, they all have toys, right? You guys go to birthday parties and the kids always get toys. How about let your child choose a book for their friend. That's always, that's a way to encourage reading at home. And also you can have your child to make his or her own little library at home, maybe a little small shelf in their bedroom, and as they collect their books, children love repetition. They love to read those same books. My mother read Griswold 1,000 times, a book called Griswold. I had a little baby brother, and my mother would read that book every day, every day. We memorized the words to the book. I mean, that's how many times my mother read that book. We knew the words to the book. So children love that familiarity. They love to be familiar with the book, and they never get tired. You think, oh, we read that last week. No, no, no. You can read it every single day, and they just don't get tired of it. My favorite one, my favorite way to promote reading is make reading a privilege. For example, say, all right, you can stay up 15 minutes later tonight if you read in bed. So what child is going to say, no, let me just go ahead and go to bed? You know, most children are not going to say that. Most children are going to want to stay up an extra 15 minutes to be able to read. Do you think that would work for your child? What do you think about some of these suggestions so far?
I would actually try it. My son doesn't like to read. He thinks it's a punishment.
Okay.
So, but he likes to stay up. So maybe I can get him to stay up and read something.
Absolutely, absolutely. Something that he really enjoys, he might enjoy. If it's about cars, if it's about animals. But to me, that doesn't make reading a punishment. That makes it a reward. Ooh, I get to stay up an extra 15 or even an extra 30 minutes if I read in bed. Maybe you can have the lights on, or maybe you can have like a little light that can kind of calm things down, and they can sit and read under the light. That's just a suggestion. And also, here's another thing. Because you help with the dishes, I will give you some extra time and we can read a story. So maybe you can read to them. It's an opportunity for you to read with them. Even if you're not a good reader, you might struggle with reading yourself. You can still encourage your children to read. You can have your child read to you. You can have maybe an older sibling read to your child and read to you all. Not just say, okay, Junior, can you read to Susie? You know, but y'all sit there, and you're sitting there as the parent and letting the older child read to the younger child. And as you read, you can ask questions about the story. How do you think that the rabbit felt when the turtle beat him? You know, you can ask questions that can elicit some higher order thinking skills, not just, well, who was the main character in the story? Okay, the rabbit, you know. So you can ask those questions, but you can also ask questions that cause them to think. And that's what we're encouraging here at school as well.